Favorite podcast. Welcome to the Power Pro Wrestling Podcast. It is the power, the absolute power of pro wrestling, all wrapped up in one podcast. It is the podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. That man over there is Robert Red. I'm Chris Honigan. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're on this episode, we will be talking about should matches be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Plus, we'll talk about our opinions on all the inductees, and we will literally give our predictions on the winners and losers of certain matches that will go down at WrestleMania. Also, you love today's podcast, or may I say this episode, why don't you go to our Spotify and YouTube channel and subscribe. And make sure you leave a comment, because, hey, we love to have your feedback and also vote in those polls. Yeah, this episode, we are talking WrestleMania. It is WrestleMania season, so what's this whole deal with matches going into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Chris, I am excited. We got WrestleMania coming up at the time of this recording. We have Night 1 that we're going to be talking about on Saturday, and then Night 2 on Sunday. But as was announced in the Hall of Fame, not only are they inducting people into the Hall of Fame, which we'll get into our next segment that you mentioned, but they are inducting matches now into the Hall of Fame. My opinion on it is I'm not really a fan of it. I know from what I've been told from UFC, because I don't really follow UFC, they're really starting to do this trend as well.
Partners.
Which is inducting matches into the Hall of Fame. Now, maybe for them it works, but in a wrestling context, I really don't like it, because in a modern sense, you already have the year-end awards or the Slammies, as WWE has done from year to year, and you have categories like Match of the Year and Superstar of the Year and stuff like that. So I feel like the matches should be celebrated at that time. Now, I understand why they're doing it now for some matches, because this year's match they inducted was from WrestleMania 13, which I don't remember if the Slammies were around at that time or not.
Yes, they were.
So, I mean, if you don't have...
Slammies were on the USA Network. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, so if you don't have the Slammies around to celebrate and do like a Match of the Year category that you can celebrate at the end of a calendar year or a wrestling year, however you want to put it, then, and I understand why they want to celebrate it here in a Hall of Fame in later years, because you don't really have an award for a year-end awards to celebrate the match then. But under normal circumstances, I'm not really a fan of putting matches in to the Hall of Fame. So that's my opinion. I want to kind of hear your opinion on this.
The question now becomes, are you going to have Slammies at the end of the year? That's the question. Are you doing this because maybe you trying to do a little bit of a tweak to the Hall of Fame? Because keep in mind, Triple H is quote unquote not in charge. It's technically The Rock, and The Rock is Triple H's boss. My deal is, if you're going to start this whole trend of putting matches in, do you really not have enough people or enough contacts? Because let's be honest, WWE's got all the contacts in the world, especially with all the legends. We have a short class this year, and according to my knowledge, no celebrities. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right on that. No celebrities were announced in the Hall of Fame. So, that's another point that you can make in your discussion as well.
And no Warrior Award. So, are we literally replacing the Celebrity Wing and the Warrior Award with match? Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, it certainly does feel that way. And those were maybe some topics I was going to discuss in a future podcast. But, we can kind of talk about them now because they are kind of pertinent to this. Because there's only really truly 4 inductees into the Hall of Fame class, which we'll talk about in the next segment, like I mentioned earlier. You got really your headliner with Triple H. You got your woman with Michelle McCool. You have Lex Luger, and then you have the Natural Disasters. And you have the matches are inducted. And then you have the legacy inductees as well. So, they are kind of like post-mortem, if I can put it that way, inducting people. I think they have 3 inductees that were announced for that. But in terms of the Hall of Fame class, it does feel like it is a little lacking.
But also, let me add this, and please forgive me for interrupting. Also, let me add this. normally the Hall of Fame is normally right after SmackDown because it normally airs, because a lot of times it'll be pre-taped. Sometimes it'll be pre-taped and sometimes it'll be live. But in this case, normally it's on the USA Network immediately following Friday Night SmackDown. Or sometimes, when they were on Fox, sometimes they will air it a little bit on Fox. But in this case, it normally be on the USA Network. Now everything's on Peacock, with slightly countries getting it on Netflix. So, I mean, this just feels weird and odd.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that, like I said, and I'm beating the horse to death here. With 4 inductees, the class does feel like it's lacking. They should have a lot more people to induct into the.
They have like 12.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily
10 or 12 at least, and plus some tag team. Not just one, maybe 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, generally, you want to have like generally they like doing a headliner. That's Triple H. You got your woman, Thailand in there, Michelle McCool. You got your tag team, then like you might have a mid-card act, and then you have a celebrity, and then you'd have the Warrior Award. So usually the class is a lot larger than that.
Well, let me ask this question: should a promoter be added to the mix? Because we've had promoters added to the mix. We've had Cowboy Bill Watts. Of course Dusty Rhodes. Everybody knows Dusty Rhodes. No argument about it. We've had Eddie Graham, the late great promoter Eddie Graham, inducted. What about since we got the partnership here? What about Jerry Jarrett?
Yeah, you do make a good point.
That's a strong case, because even in the 90s, which I know we had talked about partnerships previous in some of the previous podcasts, but this is the one deal that I think should be brought up. Jerry Jarrett should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, because it was that partnership that Memphis Wrestling, or USWA at the time, that had with WWE that ended up leading into a whole lot of WWE guys, a whole lot of Memphis Wrestling guys getting a chance at WWE, but and vice versa. They've had some of their stars that used to be main event come to Memphis, and some have been world champion. Owen Hart, that's one of them.
Yeah, good point. And then just to add to what you were saying, another reason why you could say you put in Jerry Jarrett, because it was rumored when you had I believe the 93 steroid trial and stuff like that,
yeah.
Vince was potentially going to go to prison. It was rumored that Jerry Jarrett was going to be the guy to step up. And
the partnership started in 93. Actually, it started in late 92 into 93, but continue.
But to continue my point, it was rumored that Jerry Jarrett would be the guy who's going to step up and replace Vince McMahon while he was in prison or whatever time he would have served.
Right.
So that would be another reason to induct Jerry Jarrett into the Hall of Fame. And for that, so I do agree, they do need to add more to the class, because this year's class just feels lacking. But to kind of round this off, since we got about another minute here, trying to think of what the question was, because I kind of lost my train of thought. Do you think they're playing the long game here in terms of the Hall of Fame class, and while they're putting matches? Like, you think they're waiting purposely to induct more people in the Hall of Fame because they want it to be able to do Hall of Fame classes in the future year, and that's why we're getting matches here instead of maybe a Warrior Award or a celebrity person that they're maybe holding off on them?
Well, one, they normally contact anybody that's going into the Hall of Fame early, or if they have like a big class, normally they contact them in like a year in advance.
Well, like example for Luger, he was only really told in like February. So, and we don't know really how far in advance they really plan this Hall of Fame class out.
Oh, in years past, it's normally anywhere between 6 months to a year. And then they'll announce the actual surprise literally starting January, either right at the time of the Royal Rumble or the week following Royal Rumble or the Monday night following Royal Rumble. That's when they normally will start announcing.
Yeah, that is true. But just to quickly answer the question, I'll let you put your kind of final answer on this and we'll go to a commercial break. But I do feel like they shouldn't be inducting matches into the Hall of Fame. So I'll let you kind of say your piece before we go to break, and then we'll go to break.
I think it should be expanded more. I know we both have been agreeing with this to nauseum, but honestly, I think the class should be expanded a little bit more, because who knows how long this Hall of Fame is going to last? 90 minutes, probably 2 hours. How in the world can you stretch 2 hours? And plus, let's really add this caveat: no Jerry Lawler hosting this year.
Yeah,
Lawler normally hosts. He's not hosting this year. It's literally the Raw's announced team that's literally hosting the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, that is a good point. But just to quickly before we go to break, do you think matches should be in the Hall of Fame?
Oh.
To answer the question. So you're definitively agreeing with me and saying no.
Answer's no.
Okay. Well, with that, let's go to a commercial break. And right after the commercial break, we're going to talk about more about the Hall of Fame inductees for this year, or more individually, and we'll talk about them right after this. Are you a pro wrestling fan that likes to be informed or entertained? Then I have the podcast for you. I'm Robert Redd, and I'm the host of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. The Power of Pro Wrestling podcast is the podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans. Join myself and my guests weekly as we discuss, list, and predict pro wrestling topics. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever else you listen to your favorite podcasts. Check us out today. Welcome back to the show. It's now time to discuss the inductees into the 2025 Hall of Fame class, starting with, Chris, we're going to start with the headliner in the Hall of Fame class, and we're going with Triple H. Now, in the last segment, we kind of talked and teased on the Hall of Fame class, and we felt like it should be bigger and stuff. So we're going to talk about each inductee specifically, and you feel if they're deserving or not deserving, and why. So, like I said, we're going to start with Triple H. He's kind of like the headliner for this class. So do you feel he's worthy into going into the Hall of Fame this year?
Yes, and he should go in. Not just because of all the championships that he's held, but because of his lengthy career, not just the short stint in WCW, but being part of the Clique, and then the whole infamous curtain call incident that ended up leading to the creation of both the NWO and DX, and the illustrious career and the comeback career. I will say this: it's better for him to go into the Hall of Fame now than for us to have a 2-hour special honoring Triple H like we did in 2020. But Triple H does deserve to go in. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you kind of find disdain for that special that they did. I believe it was a SmackDown where they tried to honor Triple H.
It was the lowest rate. It was one of the lowest rated SmackDowns in history.
Yeah, so, but I mean, obviously Triple H is worthy to go into the Hall of Fame just for him. It's still a career. I mean, if you look at his time even before NXT and his time in the ring, I mean, he's obviously worthy to be Hall of Fame. But not only that, at his time as a wrestler, as an in-ring performer, but his time in NXT and like the booking of NXT, the black and gold era that he did was great. And a lot of times that would be better than the main roster. Like there would be takeovers that would probably be better than WrestleMania that year. So, I mean, just that. And I mean, just his run as like a booker on our talent, not in the ring necessarily. So, I mean, he's definitely had a Hall of Fame worthy career. So I definitely do feel that he has earned it. And I'm happy that he is going into the Hall of Fame, and they're doing it now instead of waiting until after he's passed on. So let's go on to another male inductee, and let's go into Lex Luger. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Lex Luger going into the Hall of Fame this year?
This is one of the ones that's the most trickiest one of all. Because the whole debate was who should put him in. Not the question of should he get in, despite the fact that he hasn't held a WWE championship. It was the question of who's going to put him in. And of course, everybody, including both of us, thought and wanted to see Sting put him in because Sting is in the WWE Hall of Fame himself. Well, come to find out, Sting may end up putting Luger in the Cauliflower Alley Club, which is really the big one that you want to be in. But Luger going in, not just as a narcissist, but literally as the total package, many people almost kind of looked at him in 1988 as like the second version of Hulk Hogan, which never worked. But him finally winning the World's Heavyweight Championship in 1991 and then ended up winning the world title from Hogan on the first ever 3-hour episode of Monday Nitro in Palace of Auburn Hills, and him having multiple Raws with the championship, his relationship with DDP also played a monster factor in DDP's career and in Luger's career. So I honestly would say, yes, he deserves to go in.
Yeah, I'm in agreement as well with you that I do feel Luger does deserve to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. And like going into the WWE Hall of Fame, like I always say to the inductees anytime I do like a round table or discussion about WrestleMania in the Hall of Fame, it's not necessarily if they had a career in WWE, WWF, or whatever.
It's real contributions to the business.
Business as a whole. That's why I feel you earn your way into the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, he's definitely had a lengthy career. He was more a WCW guy, NWA, WCW, if I put it that way, than he was really a WWF guy. But still, his contribution to the business as a whole, he definitely has earned it. And I mean, like you mentioned, him being the first person really to topple Hogan when he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, to bring the title back to WCW, maybe just even for a short time.
Yeah, it was short-lived.
And just his contributions as a whole, I do feel he is worthy to go into the Hall of Fame. And yeah, the big controversy, I think like you discussed, that's been the big talking point was who was putting him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, obviously, DDP with his recent work, I do feel was a good choice, but I think like every other wrestling fan, we expected it to be Sting, but I just don't see that happening like you and me have discussed off air, because Sting has an AEW kind of like a Legends deal, or I'm not sure what they actually call it in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
But Tony Khan, I feel, isn't going to really play nice with Triple H, because I feel Triple H and all them don't really play nice back to him. So I don't really feel that he would let Sting induct Luger, although that's who all of our wrestling fans want to see induct them in. So I think as wrestling fans, we kind of are missing something not having Sting do it. But DDP is still a good choice.
And I'll say the reason why DDP is the second best choice, not the first, the second, is because not just the whole DDP yoga thing. If you are a wrestling historian and you listen to this podcast or listen to pro wrestling as a whole, if you follow Lex Luger's career start to finish, his career started in 1983 in Florida. DDP's started in Florida. Who literally was responsible for getting DDP his first gig into pro wrestling? Lex Luger. Lex Luger was also the one that's responsible for two things happening. One, Gordon Solie returning to TBS in '89, and two, DDP finally coming to WCW after AWA had came to an end, because Eric Bischoff was a part of the package. So DDP was the second best choice.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. So I think we both agree he does deserve it. Now let's move on to Michelle McCool.
Oof.
And she is being inducted, I believe, by her husband, The Undertaker, if I remember correctly. So do you feel like she is worthy to be in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no?
Accomplishment-wise, as far as championships go, yes. But in that type of an era, did she really, quote-unquote, define an era? All due respect, no. She didn't define an era like what Jacqueline and Ivory have done. But just accomplishment-wise, I would say yes. But this one's a tricky one, because you really don't read a whole lot about Michelle McCool other than the fact that she's won the Divas Championship. So you really don't read a whole lot about her career, but I'm glad she's going in, and I know it was a shock, because it was a shock to me that she went in, that she's going in. But big time congratulations.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I don't like to hate on people. Oh, that's just not my style. But I mean, I'm finding it hard to justify her being into the Hall of Fame. I don't really remember a lot of defining moments for her other than like her tag team and being Lay Cool, being the ripoff, like a lot of people thought, of the Beautiful People. Her stealing AJ Styles finish and calling it the Faith Breaker instead of the Styles Clash. And like, I don't really feel like she accomplished much in her time with the company. So it's kind of hard for me to justify Michelle McCool going in. I know a lot of wrestling fans are going to say this, that she's only going in because of who her husband is. I'm not going to use that argument because I'm trying to be fair and unbiased.
That's the Larry Sabisco style argument that fans would literally use, and I don't think that's fair.
Yeah. So, I mean, and with her merits, she's obviously been the women's champion because if you remember, her and Layla kind of shared it, and they did like that kind of
it was a split title.
So I mean, I only really remember that, and then I remember the whole feud with Mickie James where she would call her Piggy James.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's really the only thing I really remember about Michelle McCool's career. I don't really remember a whole lot after that. So I mean, I feel there are more other women worthy now to go in, maybe over her. Maybe in the future you could have put Michelle McCool, but it's kind of hard for me to justify her going into the Hall of Fame because I don't really feel her career was maybe strong enough. But an argument a lot of people like to make is not everybody has to have the Triple H career, the Lex Luger career, or the Undertaker career to go into the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, and that may be true, but I mean, I like people to have accomplishments that are worthy for them to say that they are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
But quickly before we go to break, we've got one more inductee, and that's the natural disasters. It's earthquake and typhoon. So what's your thoughts on them going into the Hall of Fame?
Very deservedly so, especially John Tenta. Many people have had a whole lot of mixed feelings, and I know I've talked to my colleagues on an every week basis, especially whenever we do television. And they've had mixed feelings about John Tenta, a.k.a. Earthquake. They haven't had mixed feelings concerning Typhoon, a.k.a. Uncle Fred, in the case of Cody Rhodes. But those two going in as literally, at that time, they were literally the heaviest tag team in WWE history. The heaviest. Somewhere in the ball game of combined 750 pounds. They were literally, and in a lot of ways, their action figures actually sold pretty darn good. Up there with the Legion of Doom, and up there with Hogan and Warrior, just like the Hasbro figures when they came out. But honestly speaking, when it comes to like big teams, those two really define quote unquote heavy set teams that ended up paving the way for teams like Men on a Mission and a lot of other heavy set tag teams. So yes, to me, the natural disasters does go in. I don't care what anybody says about John Tenta. John Tenta was actually a great worker in the ring. Of course, he's remembered for the infamous squashing of Damien, which is Jake the Snake Roberts' pet snake. Everyone, because that deal was censored, but they deserve to go in, both of them.
Yeah, like I don't really remember a whole lot of Tenta as Earthquake or Tugboat, Typhoon, Fred Ottman, I should say. So, I mean, it's hard for me to give an opinion here of if they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame or not. But, I mean...
Because they were multiple-time WWE Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, so, I mean, I really need to go back and look at my history before I could give you an honest opinion on them. But, I mean, I am glad he's going in because, like, I do remember Earthquake more as all the other gimmicks. Like, obviously, the bad gimmick he had in WCW, Shark, and the...
Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche. I mean, all the other gimmicks.
The Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, I think that's what I really remember him more for than the Earthquake gimmick that he was in the WWF. So, I mean, I am glad that they are going to the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad they're putting in a tag team because I don't know what other tag team off the top of my head that's not in the Hall of Fame that should belong in the Hall of Fame right now. But I mean,
what about the Nasty Boys? I don't think the Nasty Boys are in.
Yeah, that would be something that would be for...
I know Legion of Doom is in.
Yeah,
I know the Blackjacks are in. And I know Harlem Heat's in. Dudley Boys are in. I mean, why not the Nasty Boys?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that might be something, but like, I don't really know why they're not in, but that's a topic for another discussion.
Another day.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I'm happy natural disasters are getting in. So, whether they belong or not, I'd have to go back and really revisit their career before I could give an honest opinion.
Yeah, I've studied their career because we both know the infamous Clash of the Champions incident.
Yeah. So
and Shotmaster.
yeah. So I mean, I would really
Thanks, David Crockett, for that one.
Yeah. So I would really have to go back and look at that. But with that, let's take a commercial break and we'll get to the most anticipated thing that you guys are probably waiting for. We're going to talk about the WrestleMania Saturday Night 1 matches and give our predictions on the winners of those matches. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll talk about them right after this. Are you a pro wrestling fan that likes to be informed or entertained? Then I have the podcast for you. I'm Robert Redd, and I'm the host of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. The Power of Pro Wrestling podcast is the podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans. Join myself and my guests weekly as we discuss, list, and predict pro wrestling topics. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever else you listen to your favorite podcast. Check us out today. Welcome back. It's now time to give our predictions for the Saturday matches, and we're going to start with, okay, now generally when I do predictions, we start non-title match, we mark our way down the main event and non-title match stakes, but that's how we're going to work on giving our prediction. I'm going to start with Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. What's your thought on this match? And
honestly speaking, this is the one match I really did not want to. God bless Mysterio, he really did, but honestly speaking, this I'm really excited about. I'm still not excited about this. However, I'll say by cheap tactics, El Grande Americano may win, but let's see if he gets caught with the steel plate in his mask.
Okay, good call. The way I would like to see this go, think they want to go the way I want it to go, because they're going to chip back. I think we're going to El Grande, although it being written the way I'd like to unmask El Grande Americano be Chad Gable. I just don't think they want to pull the that. Maybe they still let Rey Mysterio try the El Grande, but he's unsuccessful unmasked. To me, that would make a great and kind of give Rey Mysterio other than the title after the passing of Eddie Guerrero. I'd love to see that. I could see this continuing on the Backlash, asking El Grande Americano. But with El Grande Americano being so dominant, I'm going to pick Rey Mysterio. Okay, let's go to a grudge match in Jade Cargill and Naomi. What's your thoughts on
Naomi's head to Jade Cargill? Jade Cargill will be the rookie going in, and actually she'll be the experience going in. With this being absolutely personal, let's see if we see another dark side of Naomi we haven't before. With that, if it comes down to Jade and the better pay-per-view record, but in this case, I got Jade, but if she wins, she'll win with power. But if Naomi's going to win with, I got Jade Cargill by 51-49.
Good prediction. I'm loving Naomi, and I'm loving what her teeth into work with the Jade Cargill and Jade as Naomi is.
Not even close.
So Naomi definitely, I would like to see Naomi and really go to maybe chase his title, but I'm not for Jade Cargill. And I think that if they do that, I'll really win, but my gut, I want to go with Jade Cargill.
Because of this match, do you think that maybe should Jade Cargill win? Do you think that maybe she should be going after WWE Women's title?
I mean, that very well could play in. They have teased her and Flair. That's another match we'll get to. Mm-hmm. So depending on what happens with that, man, the prediction may determine who wins here. I mean, maybe that's why we get a Jade win to set up first on the line. So maybe they pick Jade Cargill. Now let's move the World Tag Team. The Ward Wars are defending it. So what's your thoughts?
If it's sneaky, we agree New Day is gonna win this and win the titles. If this comes down to a power striking match, hands down, it's gonna be War Race. Period. It's power versus. But in this case, since New Day has a new attitude, I'm not gonna sleep on them winning the championship. But just so that WWE can actually increase their tag team division and make it a little bit more interesting, I got War Raiders winning, especially knowing that American Made really coming out. So I got War Raiders.
Good pick. I'm kind of because I really feel they have put the belts on the New Day. The New Day have a big long heel run. Although I'm not going to if WWE does that because I feel the War Raiders with the tag team titles. But WWE likes to book it or you don't have with a champion. Oh, I do get annoyed with that. So it's hard for bet New Day. But I do maybe win the tag titles. Otherwise, why I put this is what I'm feeling. Because like the other part of the card, the WWE tag titles, Street Profits, they're defending on SmackDown this week. So I feel they're getting cheated out of a WrestleMania match. And to me, that was an interesting tag match because you could there versus just a singles tag match. So I feel that this match got put on WrestleMania for a reason. I feel it's possibly because we're winning the tag titles. So I'm going to have to go new. I may be eating crow after after Saturday, and War Raiders keeps the belt, which I really hope happens. But
it's like they always say, the picks you make equals the mute you take.
Yeah, so I'm going with New Day. Let's go with the U.S. title match, and it's going to be LA Knight, yeah, again, Jacob Fatu.
With LA Knight being a strong fit, to me, you're looking at a battle between two former world's heavyweights. Some say, why are you saying both these guys are former worlds? Jacob Fatu is a former MLW world's heavyweight, and that's a major to count. LA Knight is a former TNA world's heavyweight champ. That's a major. It counts. LA Knight, it's going to be hard for him to retain. I see a new Jacob Fatu has better mic work than Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa combined. Jacob Fatu is the complete package. To me, he is the realest of all the real Samoans right now. It's hard to bet against him. And honestly, I'm not going to be the one that's going to bet against him because I followed this guy's career all the way through to WWE. I love me some LA Knight. I've followed his career also. I love me some LA Knight. But honestly speaking, with the momentum and everything literally on his side, I got Jacob Fatu win. I got him becoming the new U.S. champion, and that being the second of the mid-card championships that he has won. He's a former national openweight champion. Him adding the U.S. title really is going to elevate it to a whole nother level because I see LA Knight could be going in the direction of the WWE championship. But in order for him to go into that direction, to gain something, means you have to lose something. I got Jacob Fatu winning just because of my ties and my history with this guy. I love him. Jacob Fatu.
I'm kind of this that I do Jacob Fatu, and I am not really, but just barely got the being a transitional champion. Now, I will,
not as bad as the Rocks, though, but continue.
Yeah, I will be satisfied if this does moving up the card and they go after the WWE champion, Cody or Cena, or even the world title, whichever, him going after it, I would be satisfied. If that's the whole purpose of this title is to elevate up the card, to win something, you got to lose something.
Yep.
So if that's the intent for he stays pushed as a main event guy, then I'd be okay with him losing the title. But if that's not the plan and just stuck in the mid card, then I'm going to be annoyed by losing the title. But I do feel Jacob is going to beat him for with the WWE Women's title. It is Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair. Chris, what's your take on that?
Let's be honest. This match almost did not make Mania. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's call it like they almost did not make this match to go to Mania at all. But because Endeavor signs the check and they decide to give a little leeway just because of the money they can make from Mania, they should have easily said no. Easily. Because of what went down on SmackDown and what went down, as I told you, on the syndicated program. But honestly, it's hard to bet against Charlotte Flair just because WrestleMania, what Charlotte is to Mania, what Flair is to Starrcade, even what John Cena and Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin is to Mania, Charlotte Flair is to Mania. And honestly speaking, I think this will be a breakout performance for Tiffany Stratton. In order for Tiffany Stratton to win, to me, her triple jump moonsault can't get the job done. She's got to make Charlotte Flair tap out, which I honestly don't see, but I see the figure eight and Charlotte Flair become a new champion. But my question is, are you going to have her become a new champion just because of her adding to her comeback story that the whole world saw on syndicated TV on a talk show? Or are you literally going to have Tiffany Stratton expand her horizon, so to speak, and have new challengers? So I say Charlotte Flair, tap out win with the figure eight.
Yeah. Tiffany has only been champion so quickly, but I don't think we'll see Tiffany Stratton leave ain't or chase the title.
Gosh, no, she ain't leaving the main event at all.
The way I see this going, Charlotte beats her at Mania. So I'm going to say Charlotte Flair wins. And then you have the backlash between the two. You can let Charlotte keep the belt because Stratton is like 25. She's got a lot of time to be champion. It's not the end of the world. You can give her a star-making solidifier main event mainstay with this match. But Charlotte Flair is getting ready, I'm sure, probably to wind down her. I don't know.
But to me, Charlotte Flair, she has a whole lot. She has a whole lot more to offer.
Yeah,
she does.
And
all due respect to Tiffany Stratton, Tiffany Stratton has a great career, and she's gonna have a great future. But Charlotte Flair still got way more to offer. She literally grew up in this. She has way more to offer.
Yeah, she has more. That's why it's going. Charlotte at Mania have the rematch at Backlash, and then you can go down the line. You can have that big match that they've been teasing for a while: Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair from its title. So maybe that's why I said you have Jade Cargill, and that really sets her and puts momentum in place to have that big match with Flair because that's a big match as well. I think that WWE.
Now, to me, that's a Mania match in my opinion.
So I mean, I could see them doing that. and maybe doing that at SummerSlam for the first 2 nights. SummerSlam, you have the Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill.
But do you think Charlotte and Tiffany have learned their lesson? Do you honestly think they've learned their lesson based after the nonsense they pulled and after the fines and all of that they paid? Do you honestly think they've learned their lesson? The reason why they ended up finally having to get this.
So I hope they do. I mean, I'm going to pick Charlotte. Now let's went to the men's side, and it's the World Heavyweight title. And the not main event, Jey Uso is challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. So what's your...
I said it with the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to say it. If it's a political situation, Jey Uso's walking out the new. But honestly speaking, it's hard for me to try to take this match. Even after the win at the Rumble, even after he won the Royal Rumble, it's hard for me to take. Yes, they fought Yes, they fought on television. At some point, Jey Uso's got to wake up and have a killer. He doesn't need to go into a world championship match like a days ago. You cannot do that against Gunther, who is literally mash mouth. And some have even argued the only reason that Gunther's got that championship is because CM Punk screwed McIntyre in Scotland. Otherwise, CM Punk would be coming into this year's Mania as champion. But nevertheless, I mean, it's hard for me to even get into this match, especially with the World Championship on the line, with Jey Uso being like a days ago. He's got to take this. He's got to. I don't care about fanfare, and he's got to take. I got Gunther retaining, but should Jey Uso win this match, he's gonna have to do something. He's literally gonna have to catch Gunther slipping on a banana peel.
I wasn't, because like all I said, so I was fully expecting Cena when I was watching.
I was too, because he was responsible for the house.
So I was fully expecting Cena when I see him get eliminated by Jey Uso. Because traditionally the Royal Rumble is the main guy. It's a John Cody, Brock Lesnar. I mean, it's a big star. You don't think Jey Uso winning the Rumble? And he's supposed to be main event Jey Uso. Like the program been doing has been terrible. It's only been like maybe this Raw and the previous to where you started seeing a more serious side of. So at this point, if Jey Uso doesn't, you can't call it Jey Uso anymore. I mean, obviously the man has gotten over. At some point, you got to pull the trigger on this guy, and I think it's got to be. I think you got to pull the trigger on, or he's. Oh gosh,
so I think living in that shadow if he doesn't.
Yeah, so I mean, I think at this point you just have to let Jey Uso's got to win. The story they've been telling is him overcoming the odds. So I think you really got him big good. And Gunther's been champ Summers, so he's held it.
But look at the styles.
It's not the end of the world for him, and he can always go for the WWE. So I mean,
look at those styles though. The styles are so opposite. Yeah. You got a guy that's normally a tag team wrestler compared to a guy that literally when he hits you, your chances immediately red.
Yeah. And I mean, even Gunther going on podcasts and stuff like that has said it's a very different stylist thing for him.
Completely different.
So, I mean, I think he is having a different style.
But he hurts people, just Austrian version.
So, I mean, at this point, just give my prediction, Jey. So, we're going to get to the main event for night one. And I know your feelings once I'll let you express it. It's a triple threat match between Punk, Seth Rollins, and your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So, floor is yours, Chris. Tell us what.
I'll make the choice. I got Seth Rollins. Honestly speaking, Rollins to me is the only one that, and it was all. This match has no. It's like a manager's love train. This match literally has no stakes. It's just there. The match is not going to be the number one draw like Cena versus Rock Part 1 was, which still holds today as the highest pay-per-view buy rate in WWE. But I mean, it's literally. I mean, Roman Reigns can't sell me on the mic. The only 2 words he can sell me on is acknowledge. The only thing he can sell me on. CM Punk is literally a train wreck in itself. And you got Seth Rollins, who literally will take it serious because he's been there before. He's a main eventer at Mania before. And he's the only one since the Attitude Era. He's the only one responsible for the heist of the century that drew 21 million people watching the Raw after Mania on the USA Network in 2015. Bottom line, Seth Rollins wins. And you know what? I won't be surprised if Heyman decides to say, hey, I'm rolling with a main eventer with Seth Rollins. I won't be surprised. Rollins wins. Go ahead.
Okay. Kevin, who's not too with predictions and stuff like he's actually kind of predicted as well because he thinks Paul Heyman's going to go with Rollins. Now, initially, I dismissed them because I was like, why would Paul Heyman go with Rollins? Rollins is in the game from Paul Heyman. But the story they've told in the last few weeks, I've messaged him back and said, that's not so far-fetched now from the story that they're telling. that maybe Heyman does go with Rollins. So it would not be shocking that Heyman helps Rollins. I personally the pull for Punk just for the fact I'm wanting to see him go in the WWE title picture. Whoever wins it, whether it be Cody or Cena, he's going to work with either one well. That's why I'm picking CM Punk. I know you have your thoughts on, you don't really care for so
not his wrestling ability, just his attitude, his presentation.
Yeah, so
and representing the company, because you can't badmouth the company and then all of a sudden bully your way to the main event.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to throw out a Rollins. I'm just going to pick Punk because I want to go on to the main challenger Cody for the WWE title. So,
or maybe Orton.
Yeah, I mean, it could be an Orton happen as well. That's all the time we have for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to check out our podcast on Spotify, and YouTube podcast, or wherever you enjoy your favorite podcast. Also, you support the show on Patreon. We're gaining with early access to the podcast. You can follow us on social media. Go ahead and quickly plug your social media right quick. The shows you do.
Chris Heineken 1 on Twitter. Wrestling Sound, we finished celebrating a milestone up episode 400 back on the 3rd, which literally broke syndicated TV records all across. So I host Wrestling Sound. We got a new one. It's Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll close out Easter, MSA Resurrection for some folks, Easter for other folks. We're actually close that whole event out with a very awesome program coming up on Sunday night. At immediately following your late local news, or 11 p.m. On YouTube. That's when our simulcast and all will start. And of course, MCW Defiance, that being at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central syndication, and on YouTube. And strictly LCW, of course, we're in the route to episode 300. So please stay tuned to all of them. But enough of me. Where can they find you at, Robert?
All the social media below to where you can check them. But you, obviously, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and X. All Robert Lee Reggie. You can check us out on Patreon, Spotify, all the good stuff. So you can go there. Like I said, you can check us out there. But if you like today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and comment, and let us know your thoughts on the episode. Know who your picks for wrestling. Let us know your thoughts on they should put matches. We want to hear your thoughts, guys. So please give us your feedback. But you can check us out next time on the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast.